What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to another episode. We are so excited. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
This is, we're like second week of January, but
Yeah, right.
you
Yeah.
know.
This is second week of January, but this is what our fourth year coming up doing this. So hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Before we get started, make sure you subscribe, like, give us a little thumbs up. Tell us what you want to learn about this year. We got you.
Yep.
We love your engagement. Welcome to. We have a few new subscribers
Yeah,
here.
we've been moving. We've been moving.
We went from like 20 views a video to like 200.
Yeah, we out here. We out here.
Crazy numbers.
You know.
But today we're actually doing something a little bit different. We usually like take a building or a topic. Today I'm taking like a chunk of years.
Okay.
To do it.
Okay.
We're going from 1840 to about 1909.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna talk about the Chicago story with railroads.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very cool, very important one. A lot of the times people say that the railroads built Chicago.
Yeah.
Which
is true. That's
is
true.
It's
Yeah.
true. We're a big hub.
Yeah.
If you did not know that, Chicago kind of like boomed a lot because of railroads and because of the fact that we had. Did you know that more tracks radiate out of Chicago to more locations than any other city in the United States, in North America?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
Isn't
crazy.
that wild?
Yeah.
And it is
North
it has
America.
North
So
America.
that's Canada, Mexico.
Yeah, and it has the second largest number of commuter transit after New York in the U.S., which is crazy.
And look, we do this basically.
We do this.
You know?
Yeah, so the industry was huge in Chicago, but today I kind of want to talk about how Chicago also built the railroad system. So, like without Chicago, we really would not have.
Starting this year off spicy, boy. you shake out, you scratch our back, we scratch yours. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna talk about both. We're gonna talk about how less so about how the railroads built Chicago and more so about how Chicago built the railroads. So of course we have to start downtown. This is where most things happened. And I want to kind of go to like one of my favorite areas to look at tracks, which kind of sounds weird, but there's a lot of, it's like a nice overview of the city skyline and some tracks.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and walk over there and talk a little bit more about this history starting in 1840.
Let's get it.
So we are on that little bridge between the Chicago Art Institute and kind of like the rest of the loop, which is a really cool spot if you want to see a lot of train tracks. Some of them are used, some of them aren't as used as they used to be, they were once. But let's talk about the start of it. So in 1836, the Galena and Chicago Union train situation was commissioned. It was commissioned and it actually didn't start building until 1848. The first tracks were laid here in the loop and they were laid in Oak Park, which was at the time Oak Ridge. And their center office, their headquarters was located in the loop on Kinsey and Clark. Don't fact check me. But that was the beginning of the story. So it was 1840. That was the first line, and then it kind of like boomed from there. So a ton of other railways started coming about, and everything that wasn't located in Chicago almost had its headquarters in Chicago. Yeah. So your tracks passed through Chicago, and that was like a big piece because a lot of the businesses came out of here and did the work here.
Yep.
And especially the ones that were located in the West, because think of it at the time, it is like in the 1800s, most of what was going on was East Coast and Central. So we were the West.
We were the West, yeah.
Exactly, right. And so it just kept expanding from there. It connected Chicago to the northwest Illinois and south Wisconsin, and that was where a lot of the wheat industry was, right? And obviously we know Chicago is big on wheat. And do you hear the train?
They might. That's kind of dope.
You might see it pass.
You might see it pass. Look at this. That happens to us a lot. Yeah.
We manifested this train.
Yeah.
This little Amtrak.
Yeah.
Oh, Metro. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So Chicago was big on wheat, right? Obviously, and there's even an upcoming video about the first location where the first wheat shipment shipped out of. But and then we go into the meat packing industry, right? And so like we know that was huge. Yep. I thought you were going to say more.
Oh, no.
Um,
Shit. I'm here for the ride, baby. I'm here for the ride.
so obviously that was huge, and trains needed to exist for that to happen, right? So these railways popped up. But now let's talk a little bit more about why I believe Chicago built their railways.
Yeah, he's about to smoke.
Let's walk a little bit further down.
Let's go.
All right, so we walked a little bit further down. We're on Michigan Avenue. And obviously, some of you remember that this was where the lake was. We're very close to the lake.
Man, right up on it.
And one of the railways that actually set up shop all up and down the shore was Illinois Central.
And we literally right down the way right here.
Literally,
Yeah.
Yep, super close. They also went further south. So now we have into the 1850s, 1855, things are stretching further into other parts of the city. We're not just in the downtown area, we're laying tracks all over.
Yep.
There's a lot of dates in this one, so you might see me peek over at my phone.
Yeah.
But
these days get tough, man. Like trying to
they
remember
really
all
are,
this.
and I want to be accurate, so that's what it is.
Because you know the comment section.
You know?
Be ready.
Yeah, literally. So around the 1850s, obviously, as things are growing, we have the iron and the steel mills come about. So into the 1850s. In the 1880s, the Chicagoland area, or mostly Chicago, produced steel and iron that laid down a third of the tracks that went all over the United States.
From here.
Chicago.
You hear that?
Can you imagine?
Yeah. So here, look, she trying to tell you, we built them too. You know what I mean?
We built them. We built them, for real. And obviously into the late 1800s, you now have, Pullman is doing his work.
Yeah,
he is one of the most important railway pioneers, which if you want to learn more about that, go check out our Pullman episode. And obviously there's other things now, because we have things like the sleeping car, we have things like the refrigerated cars, which are used for the meat packing. So we need people to make those accessories.
Yeah.
We need the lamps that go in the cars, we need the lanterns, we need the
That's
brakes.
stuff I ain't even thinking about. The lamps, you
Literally.
said the lanterns and brakes?
Yep, brakes,
Okay.
you need the seats, you need all of the accessories that go into making the trains, into making the tracks.
Yeah.
You need the little lever thing that stops the train from going on the wrong
left
track.
or right, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Chicago was the largest producer of all of those accessories.
Yo.
You had different companies, and I'm gonna name a few for you so that you know.
This sounds
So
cool.
obviously Pullman made the sleeping car.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
that. You have
Uh-huh.
American Car and Foundry, which merged 13 companies together.
13?
That's wild.
Okay.
You had Western Steel Car and Foundry. They sold 100 cars in 1905 and made $7.5 million in sales that year.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Wait, how many cars they sold?
100.
100 cars got you
Yep.
$7.5 million?
Yep. Sierra Adams was the leading supplier of the lamps and lanterns. Okay. You had Pettibore Mulliken, who was the leading supplier of track equipment. They're called frogs.
And all this is
crossing
Chicago.
things. All of this is in Chicago.
Jesus.
You had Griffin Wheel Company, and they made, in 1900, they made 500 wheels a day. In 1920, they made 1,000 wheels a day. So all of the wheels that were going up and down your beloved New York was coming from Chicago.
Your beloved New York.
That's all I'm saying.
Catching strays.
Edward B. Lay, or Lays, Leighs.
Yeah.
They made, in 20 years, they sold 6 million brake beams.
Wow. So what's the brake beam?
Chicago.
Is the brake beam
I don't know.
the thing that
I'm arts and history. I don't know. I don't know.
Say we ain't
These
doing all that.
engineering questions,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't got them.
Right. I tell you who made them.
I just tell you what it is. It's the beam for the brake. I don't know.
The beam for the brake.
You obviously had the refrigerated cars, which kind of revolutionized the meat packing industry. Their meat wasn't going rancid. It was moving in a
Had to have
refrigerated
good
car. Yeah. And you needed people to make the lining of the inside of the refrigerated car. Where was that made? Chicago.
All in Chicago is lit.
Literally.
Y'all better put some respect on that name.
You know?
2025. Stop playing with us.
Obviously, there were other things other than building the cars and making the accessories. You had people that leased the cars. So companies that owned those cars and leased them out, because let's say you package meat, right? Maybe you don't own your own cars. You need to get them from someone that does, right?
Yeah, so that's why you see a lot of the cars, the trailers that have different names on them. That might not necessarily be who's running it at that time.
You
It's
rent
just-
containers from shipping
Right.
companies and stuff. It's the same. It's the same
Okay.
same model. By the 20th century, by the 20th century, firms that leased cars, that specific industry segment of railway, was the largest industry in the United States.
Wow.
And
The leasing of the cars?
the leasing of the cars. It was one of the most important, let's say.
Okay.
It wasn't exactly the largest. It was one of those top
And what you said, when was that?
in the early 20th century.
So that reason why I bring that up, that's right in the middle or towards right in the middle really of the Motor Road going
Yeah,
crazy. I
for
wonder
sure.
if some of those places had spots on Motor Road.
I mean, probably. It is generally in that
Because
area.
I mean, that's vehicle.
Locomotive, if you may.
Locomotive.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
There's a place called Locomotive, but
But that's also a
I know, but
brand,
like
isn't
what?
it? But there is
Did we
one of the largest locomotive producers was out of Chicago.
Yo,
A
I
little-
just
a
put that
couple-
together right now.
a couple. This one kind of blew my mind. Okay, are you
Blow
ready
mine.
for this one? So the leader
Uh-huh.
of those leasing offices was called the Union Track Car Company,
Okay,
and this company
UTC.
UTCC UTC yeah,
Yeah, UTCC.
Union Track Car
Car
Company.
Company, yeah.
Yep. So they were descendants of the Union Track line, which was founded by Rockefeller,
Oh,
but in Ohio.
Okay.
Right?
yeah.
And they moved to Chicago in the 1920s.
Okay.
They owned 10,000 cars in 1904.
Mhm.
By the 1920s, they had 30,000 cars.
Oh, wow.
And they became the largest leaser
Yeah.
in the Chicago area.
Interesting.
Then you had,
Rockefeller had a hand in that.
well, it's one of the
One of the
Rockefellers.
Rockefeller, but that whole
A
family was
Rockefeller.
rich. Yeah.
One of the
Jay-Z
Rockefellers.
was up here. His
That would not
doppelganger-
be surprising.
Doppelganger was out here doing. It's the Rock, baby.
Stop it. Stop it. You had General American Transportation Company in 1898.
Yeah.
They started with 28 used cars as for the leasing services.
Yeah.
They then started making their own cars that they could lease. By the 1930s, by 1948, they owned 55,000 cars that
Man,
came
this
out of
is-
Chicago.
Bro, this is a lot of information.
It's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, a lot of numbers.
So you said if I'm gonna have a controversial topic like this, I got to come with the facts.
I gotta come with the facts. I gotta come
with
with
it,
the names.
you know?
Gotta come with the
'Cause
numbers.
People be afraid to say stuff like so bold
Not
and be
me.
like, you know, you
Not
said
me.
not I.
Your shoes wouldn't have delivered over Christmas if it
was
wasn't
us,
for Chicago.
you wouldn't even believe in Santa if it wasn't of us. Stop it. Rudolph.
it.
Rudolph, don't play
Stop
with me.
it.
Don't play with me before I ruin your kids next Christmas.
But we just happen to be sitting in front of one of the coolest buildings, and I kind of have a fun little tie
Oh yeah.
to Chicago.
Yeah, this tie. So you told me the tie, so I know what the tie is, and
Yeah.
this we talked about it before, but man,
did.
that's a cold
did.
connection when you think about it.
Yep.
But I'm gonna let you go ahead.
So we're just gonna turn around, and I'm gonna tell you about the building that's right behind us
Yeah.
to end this episode
historic
with
building.
a little fun fact.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's
get
turn
it.
around. Beep beep beep. Record.
Yeah, see, we did the little loopy loop right
We
here.
just turned around. We just turned around.
Yeah.
The ledge we were sitting on is right there. So you might recognize this building behind me as the Santa Fe building if you're from Chicago.
If you from Chicago and you don't know what she's talking about,
You
let me
know
pull that
this
card.
building.
Let me pull that card because
And if you don't know what it is, the Santa Fe building, you know it is the building with the huge Motorola sign
Yes,
on top.
there we
So
go.
you've seen it from Lakeshore. It just says Motorola on it. But some cool lore about this building.
Lore,
Okay?
L-O-R-E, baby.
L-O-R-E, baby. Some cool lore about this building is that this is actually the Railway Exchange building,
Okay.
right? And to tie it all together with a little bow,
Yeah.
like the lion.
What was the Railroad
Wearing the
Exchange
bow.
building?
Well, so this is the building that Daniel Burnham on the penthouse floor. What are you going to say something?
I was gonna say, tell them what the Railroad Exchange building
you
is.
you tell
yeah,
them that
yeah.
part.
So this is dope. So all those places that Sarah just talked about the last segment, all the railway companies, things like that, they all needed a place to meet because like as it was booming, you needed, everybody had to get in alignment.
office.
They did it here in this building. That's why it's called the railway, but this is the place where they were, they all met. That's why it's called the Railway Exchange before I got my ass kicked. That's where it was. But yeah, that's where this building is,
Yeah.
and pretty cool.
Super, super historic. But in 1909, Daniel Burnham
Yeah.
sat his ass on the penthouse,
Yeah, he sure
right?
did.
And he wrote the plan of Chicago.
Right there, I think if you're looking at my head, the top of my head, I think what was it, the 7th floor or something like that?
Yeah, it was the seventh.
Or
Yeah.
yeah. At
Because
the time, because they added, yeah.
four more floors.
So I think it was right above your boy's head, but he
It
was
was.
in the corner right here,
Yeah.
and that's where he came up with the plan of Chicago.
At the Railway Exchange.
So They helped us. We helped them.
Yeah.
The point
So,
you're trying to make.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna say is Chicago built the railroads and all your little accessories that went in the railroad cars.
Right, all your little amenities.
All your little brakes and shit. The brake beams are the most important
The
one.
light, the refrigerator lining.
All of it.
All of it. I say refrigerator. Anyway.
But that is all I have for you today. I hope you liked that one.
Yep.
We can dive more deep into each one of these companies. Obviously, there's a lot of information. I tried to kind of like
Condense.
condense,
You did a good job.
milk it down if you
Milk
may.
it down.
Condensed milk.
Milk it down.
Get it?
Damn. Okay, go ahead. Give me that. Give me that. Silly.
But if you like this episode, please share it with someone you love. It's really important to us that you share our content.
Yeah.
And if you made it to the end, go ahead and leave a little train emoji in the
Yeah.
comment. Let us know that
We
you
got
made
a
it to
million to
the
choose
end.
from. You know?
You know? Pick your favorite one.
Yep.
And if you did not like this episode, that's all right. Check back
It's all
next
good,
week.
man. It's just the beginning of the year. It's the
Yeah.
first one, baby.
We got
getting that stride. We need to hit that stride, Jack.
We
Stop
got
it.
a ton planned for you
Yeah.
this year, and we're so excited to share. But with that, we leave you and see you next week. Peace.
Okay, so bonus. We walked into the railway exchange. We didn't think we could walk into it because if you look at it from the outside, it looks like it's dormant, but you know it's not.
It's not.
We walked up to it. We've been by this several times,
It's so beautiful.
and you can just walk in, and it is gorgeous here. Like so.
Yeah.
So the episode is done, but we'll see you next time.
Yep.
But check out this B-roll. Peace.